Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I hope you're all doing absolutely excellent, and if you are, I am sorry. I'm going to be putting a little bit of a damper on your day if you haven't heard the news yet. If you're already not doing absolutely excellent, might be making things a little bit worse. Xbox, massive price hikes. Now, given the small amount of distribution partners and the amount of major platform holders we have in the games industry, which is really the big three, technically four if you include Steam as a digital platform, it was always a guarantee that with these tariffs, the prices would be passed on to the consumer. But these price hikes are still out of this world, no matter where I think you stand on the matter. And we're going to go through all the information today on what's going on with Xbox, and I'll deliver some thoughts after I lay out the news. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into what's going on with Xbox, we talk about a lot, and certainly defining Duke will be very interesting this week. Consider subscribing. So the information comes from the official Xbox support page, where they write, pricing updates announced May 1st, 2025. As of May 1st, we have adjusted recommended retailer pricing for our consoles and controllers worldwide. We also expect to adjust the pricing of some of our new first-party games starting this holiday season to $80. Those titles purchased on the Xbox Store have the benefit of Xbox Play Anywhere, allowing players to buy once and play on console and PC at no additional cost. We understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. Now, over on IGN, they took the pricing charts and compared and contrasted for the US. Xbox Series S at 512 gigabytes is no longer a $300 system. It is up to $379. And Xbox Series S with 1 terabyte of memory space is now up to $430. The Xbox Series X digital version is up to $549, or really $550. Xbox Series X up $100 from its $500 launch price, brand new, to $600. Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition is now up to $730, making the PS5 Pro look a little cheap in comparison, which in turn is kind of competing with the PS5 Pro price tag. Okay, Xbox wireless controllers, the core, your standard one, $65. The colored ones, $70. You have the special edition wireless controllers, $80. Limited edition wireless controllers, $90, up from $80. The Elite Series 2 controllers, the core version, goes up to $150. The Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 in full goes up $30 to $200. The stereo headset is at $65, and the wireless headset goes up $10 to $120. The real sticker shock here, I think, is the Xbox Series X base pricing and the $80 games on top of it. We'll talk about that. Still some more information to go over. Will the price of existing games change? You know, like your Avowed or whatever. No, this will affect some new first-party games starting this holiday season. So your Call of Duty, what else is coming out at the end of this year? Outer Worlds 2. These are probably going to be your $80 video games from Xbox. Gears of War E-Day, whether that's early 26 or late 25. And then they also say which games are increasing in price. We will adjust the pricing of some of our new first-party games starting this holiday season to $80. This update will apply to physical and digital versions. That said, different games and expansions will continue to be offered at a variety of price points. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Again, of course, with everything going on with the global economy, none of this is generally surprising that it's happening. And even the price tags was that immediate sticker shock when I'm like, okay, like this sucks. And I guess I kind of get it. But at the same time, you look at Xbox's situation and its competition, you're seeing where they're willing to bite the bullet and where they're trying to inch things forward here. And really assessing Xbox as a brand is, I think, required to fully unpack just how crazy of a decision this is, because Xbox is doing this while their hardware is selling historically bad. Now, even in a pretty successful quarter that they just reported the earnings results for yesterday, Xbox content services drive 5% overall Microsoft gaming revenue growth, but the hardware sales were down 6%. And you look at that single percentage dip, not the end of the world, right? But when you start to look at Xbox sales figures overall. 9 Meters has a great write-up here. Xbox sales hit rock bottom after historical 2024 decline. They write, Xbox faces major challenges as its console sales hit record lows in 2024, and it's not looking any better for 25. The gaming giant sold an estimated 2.7 million units in the US market during 24, which, just for context, by the way, this is their biggest market. This is their best market. This is where they sell the most. So 2.7 million units in the US market, making it the worst full year performance in Xbox history. The numbers in Europe are staggeringly worse, with an estimated 290,000 units sold over the year. When you add up the two, you get just under 3 million units sold, which paints a very worrying picture for Microsoft's hardware in their gaming division. Those numbers are down from 2023, which was also a tough year, when Xbox sold 3.8 million units in the US and 550,000 in Europe for a combined 4.35 million. And you might remember during that stretch of time for Xbox, this is where they were actually having exclusives that they could market. Some of them didn't pan out well, of course, like Redfall. You had games like Hi-Fi Rush, Shadow Drop, amazing video game. You had Starfield, which I know the post-launch is a whole different conversation, but pre-launch was building up a lot of hype and was then labeled as like the biggest day one Game Pass game Xbox had ever had. It just really pushed a lot of sales. It seemed like things were trending in the right direction. Even then, it's considered a tough year. They say this is a nearly 10% drop year over year in units sold, leading to Microsoft reporting a 42% drop in Xbox hardware revenue for the quarter ending in June 2024 in recent months. So they're doing this price increase where the crazy reality, right, is that if you bought an Xbox Series X at launch, $500, that was the cheapest time to buy it. That was outside of like holiday sales that happened afterwards, that was the cheapest time to buy it. It is now a $600 unit. It's a 5-year-old machine that is $100 more to purchase. Wherever you are, that is awful wherever you stand. That sucks. And they're doing this at the time where they're having a historical decline in hardware. And that's because when they ripped out the Band-Aid with their multi-platform push, everyone was asking the same question: why own an Xbox? And I think they've provided some decent reasons. Xbox Play Anywhere has been a bit of a game changer for me. Just being able to play on the backbone with my phone and then play it on my PC and then play it on my console. That kind of ecosystem, it sounds gimmicky at first, but it really is a game changer to be able to pick up and literally play anywhere. But I lay all of that out because otherwise I think Game Pass is there, but Xbox is really more concerned about what's happening beyond their own hardware because it's not growing. It's not growing. So I almost think like the price of the hardware matters a little bit less in the terms of the conversation I want to have, because while it is a bit of a sticker shock, literally nobody is buying Xbox hardware right now. It is on a steep decline, and they will absolutely be the first company to bow out completely out of the hardware race as far as I'm concerned. Now, the reason I bring all this up is because Xbox is doing bad in hardware, but they are doing really good in software since that multi-platform pivot. For example, you look at the PlayStation Store right now, the top 10 games in the United States, most of these are Xbox games. Oblivion at number 2, right behind Fortnite. Forza Horizon 5 at number 3. Call of Duty is right there. And then Minecraft is in the number 10 slot, thanks to, I imagine, the push the movie gave it. So Xbox has 4 games in the top 10 best-selling games on PlayStation. And they also reported with their Q3 earnings results that they were a top publisher in the industry. And it's showing. They are selling a lot of games. And in the mix here is also Indiana Jones, which just came out on PlayStation 5 and is sadly getting buried. That is like one of the best games Xbox has published. And it's just like between that and Hi-Fi Rush, it bugs me to no end. I'm like, dude, like why are people, the good stuff Xbox does publish is like right there. Please play it. Xboxes are manufactured in China, and right now there is a 145% tariff on that stuff. So yeah, like these prices were going to jump anyway. There was just a no doubter about all of that. But I feel like it's less important because most people are buying Xbox games, not hardware. And I think Xbox is trying to use the kind of hardware conversation as a way to really cover for the $80 games that they want, because now's an opportunity for them to really collect. Now, to be completely honest, as someone who reviews every major first-party release from Xbox, there's only one game this generation I would have paid $80 for, and it was Indiana Jones. Absolutely, I would have paid $80 for that. That was a top 3 game last year, and just like one of my favorite licensed games. It was absolutely awesome. Otherwise, though, like everything they've put out this generation, Hi-Fi Rush, it's an amazing game. $80. I don't think it was an $80 game, like a $60 game. Sure, but $80, I don't know. But when I look at games I have reviewed from them, say a full price game, I'm not going to throw like South of Midnight in the conversation or Hellblade. We'll have to tackle that as we go along the generation. But when I look at something like Avowed, right? Avowed, to me, like, I was so disappointed with that. And I'm like, that has been kind of a mark of some of the quality of Xbox's publishing over the last couple of years. It's like this low 80s open critic game that's like, but for like first party, you should be putting out the best the industry has to offer. And if you're moving up to $80, the consumer expectations need to rise with that. Because I say this just for myself, $80 games are insane. Insane. There's only a few games I would make that exception for. And if Xbox wants to go for it, then Fable better be a Game of the Year contender. Outer Worlds 2 better not just be like, oh, more Outer Worlds. Like, it better be more than that. Like, that is the expectation that comes with this price jump. Just because they say at the front of everything, oh, well, ballooning game budgets are happening. I'm sorry, but that video I just made yesterday about gaming and Expedition 33 and budgeting and clear vision, and it's a team of 30-ish people, like, that is such an exposure of the games industry's narrative that, like, oh, this wasn't possible. Yes, it is. You just got to budget accordingly. You got to manage accordingly. But I look at, I'm sorry, I got to single out. I look at projects like South of Midnight, which I played to completion. And when that game's narrative was inconclusive and it spent so much time meandering for a 10-hour game, and it was like a 6-7 year development cycle, I'm like, a lot of these companies just take Xbox for a complete ride from my point of view. I'm sorry, but they do. The Hellblade taking as long as it did. I'm just like, dude, that was a part of the Xbox Series X announcement, and it comes out and I beat it in like a day. It was that short. I mean, this is what's going to happen. These are the conversations that are going to happen because you're going to $80. And when you have some of the best stuff the industry put out last week, and Xbox was publishing one of them in Oblivion Remastered at $50, it's just such an uphill battle to try to push this price point. So there's that angle. Next gen consoles. Xbox's handheld that leaked that's apparently coming this year. Oh boy, they were reportedly in a good price point, I thought. But now, because of the tariffs and everything, I think that sucker is going to jump and become that kind of ROG Ally price point where, like, the enthusiast will buy it. It'll sell a couple 100,000 units, and that's it. Again, if you're looking at the Series X Galaxy Edition being like almost PS5 Pro levels of pricing, that's absurd, because now I'm like, if Xbox does a straight up box for your living room for next gen consoles, and it's apparently their most powerful box yet, that thing is $1,000 easily. I'm just telling y'all right now, okay? I was always a console diehard. PC is the way to go. Mid-tier PC can get you so far nowadays. So far. And you can access your Xbox games there. And I think that's a lot of why Xbox is willing to yank off this Band-Aid. We got to talk about Game Pass. Look, Game Pass, cloud streaming, these are major growing factors at Xbox. And I think they're kind of partially banking on the idea of, like, yeah, we're shoving you out of the console idea, but if you want to play something on Xbox, I mean, look, I stream a ton of games to this thing right here. I was playing Oblivion Remastered on this thing. I was playing Towerborn on this thing in bed with the backbone. Like, I know I'm not everybody, but there is an argument to be made that, like, I'm engaging with Xbox a lot, even if I'm not doing it the traditional way. And so I do think, like, Game Pass becomes more appealing if the price holds. It's like, dang, I can get your first party games for like $20. You look at this month, right? You get Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and you get Oblivion Remastered for the price of $20. If you got all the time in the world and you can play both of those in a single month, what a steal, right? So that is going to drive a lot of people to Game Pass. But it also, I think, might drive a lot of people away. Like, fuck that, man. I'm not spending this much on Xbox stuff. But I think the reality is that, and I don't say this in defense of them because it all just sucks, is that other companies are making similar moves. I just don't think anyone's ripped off the Band-Aid quite on the level Xbox just did. Let's look at PlayStation real quick. Prices just jumped in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand for the PS5 itself. They kept the PS5 disc drive at a similar price point. But also, PlayStation jumped the PS Plus subscription service in Canada. Now, granted, for PlayStation, I think the reason they're trying to dance around this as long as they can is compared to Xbox, where they have like a PC base and they're putting their games on PlayStation, they're going to put their games on Switch. This is a moment where, like, PlayStation wants to preserve that console ecosystem because it is so important to them. They are like the go-to console for a lot of people between like Xbox and PlayStation. Meanwhile, Nintendo just went through their own snafu with the Switch 2 launch, and they avoided the price hike on consoles. They jumped accessory prices, and we know what they're trying to do with their video games. They're banking on software sales because their software sales are crazy. So something like Mario Kart World, which doesn't look to be an $80 game, is an $80 game. Breath of the Wild, with all the upgrades combined and everything, could end up being a $90 video game. And that is a game that came out in 2017. That is the type of economy we are in for gaming, where it went from luxury hobby to like luxury with a capital L, dude. Literally. I mean, it is kind of like an L overall. And Nintendo's managed to reportedly avoid these tariffs because they've started producing their consoles in Vietnam. But I think if we see these tariff pauses get removed and the jumps happen, I think Nintendo's going to make the jump. I think that PlayStation's going to make the jump. And Xbox just kind of said to Nintendo, like, hey, great idea. Let's just jump our prices and just pull the Band-Aid off. Everything moving forward, $80. Oh, boy. It sucks, man. And there's been a lot of like people who are angry about it, and some who have been like, well, this is just the way of the world right now. It is what it is. And this is not me getting political, but I think even if like you support the tariffs or you support this vision of the economy, I think just the reality is it's just as simple as like seeing massive price increases like this does blow. And as I discussed earlier in this video, and I discussed in previous videos before that, and especially on Defining Duke, because we talk a lot about the economy of the industry there, like this was always going to happen when we saw those tariffs. Like games as a whole has so few distribution partners, and these major platform holders get to kind of dictate the whole scene. And so, yeah, it was always going to be passed on to the consumer. But look, like as someone who has enrolled in the ID at Xbox program, for example, to like start looking at getting our game published, I bring this up because like they literally have like a section where it's like, what do you want to price your game at? It's like, it's your choice. So I think at the end of the day, what people should do, like what is my response plan to this? Number one is pay attention to games and companies like Sandfall and Expedition 33. Companies can make that choice to budget their game in the right ways and give you a fair price and give you that great feeling of like, man, I'm kind of stealing from you. This is such a good game. And because the industry is so funny in this way, it's like, well, I want to go out and buy merch now. I end up spending more than the game's price on other stuff surrounding it. Like I've been looking at this Expedition 33 hoodie with the rose petals and a 33 on it. It's awesome. It's at the IGN store. It's like, I want to check that stuff out. So it always works in this weird way where I think you end up spending more money anyway. At least in my experience, where I'm just like, man, I really ripped you off. I gotta make this right. But I would pay attention to these AA games, indie games especially, because they have the best chance to really start stealing the show now. Rubs hands menacingly. Indie devs have the chance to steal the show now, because the reality is that they run much smaller budgets than any of these games, but they have the ability to take over like any of these high-priced games. They just don't have the marketing capability, but word of mouth is everything. Look at, again, this is a big example, but look at Oblivion Remastered. That was a complete word-of-mouth marketing campaign, complete, like a leak campaign that did a lot of heavy lifting, but 4 million players for just a game that just shadow dropped is incredible. So, yeah, like I think indies can really rise up. I think in the terms of like consoles and what you buy, it's one of those things where like secondhand is where I usually go anyway. But it's weird because like I'm happy I pre-ordered a Switch 2 now because I feel these prices are going to go up, and the cheapest time to buy a Switch 2 is probably like right now. And that's a crazy thought to have, you know. That's such a shame, but that's the world we live in now, I guess. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on what's going on with Xbox and these price hikes. It is a really strange time, but I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts down below. How do you feel about the price jumps? $80 Xbox games, fire away. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.